Y'all saw me like 10 minutes ago, bro. We're back again. Yeah, so today we're here welcoming Progressive Insurance. Big whoop for them. They're going to be here for the career fair, so make sure to stop by and see them tomorrow. But they're going to be going through, some of the recruiting stuff, their tech stack, stuff like that. So if you think that's something of interest, definitely stick around. As for ACM-W, if you're wondering what ACM-W is, it is our women's chapter of ACM. It is focused on providing an inclusive environment in tech for women and other marginalized genders. Of course, we're open to everyone, and we're going to have a lot of different things planned. So definitely stop by throughout the year. It's going to be it's going to be magical, cool, awesome, whimsical. So yeah, stop by. These are our officers for the year. I'm your president. This is my vice president, Savannah. I have my lovely secretary, Sophia's right there. Badisha, PR, and then Odalise, my media officer, beautiful souls. Yes, so we have our ACM registration QR code up if you guys aren't registered already. Definitely do that. It costs absolutely nothing to join ACM. I would recommend it because, you get your points. Is Portal still broken? Well, I guess. Okay, yeah. Okay, so Portal is not broken anymore, so yeah, you can register. Doesn't hurt. You get a lot of cool opportunities out of it. So yeah, this is our actual event check-in. You're gonna see it on Portal. Our ACM-W X Progressive workshop check-in. You get a point for that, and it definitely adds to your semesterly point max. Oh, we had to check in twice. That's crazy. But yeah, thank you guys so much. We're gonna switch it over to Jake. Big round of applause for him.
One moment. It's a little slow, but I think we'll manage. So hey everyone, I'm Jake Sanchez. I'm a consultant application developer at Progressive, but one of the other things that I do is go around to schools and help with recruiting. So one thing that we find pretty important with Progressive is that we recruit for the roles that we actually participate in. So I've been working at Progressive for 10 years now. I actually came through the college hire program as a full-time, and this presentation is going to kind of talk about maybe some of the things that you're wondering about Progressive, and I was myself. Right off the bat, it's going to talk about that you may not have grown up and wanted to work at an insurance company, but one of the things that you'll see that we keep hitting on is that a lot of the issues that you run into with the tech company at our scale are common across anything that you're developing, and it takes a ton of technology for us to support all of our customers and the people that use our technology internally as well, our claim reps. So I have two presentations actually. One is kind of a canned one that we've given as recruiters, but then I put one together to kind of talk about my role and some of the things that are a little bit more specialized to my area. We are massive, so I want to give a little bit more context into what I actually do, and claims specifically is where I work. But as we talk through this, I mean, if any of you have questions at all, feel free to stop. This is not super formal or anything like that. So let's get into things. So the college program here. So like I said, we get it. You may not have grown up wanting to work in insurance, but we really have a lot to offer, and so this is kind of going to walk through some of those things. Really, like I mentioned, I've been working at Progressive for 10 years. There are people that have made their whole careers there, and that's a testament to the culture, really. For me, it's always been a great place to work. I've never felt overworked, and I've always felt a lot of respect towards my work and working with others. It's really been a great environment. I didn't expect that going into it, but really have been very happy with all the years that I spent at Progressive. So one of the things that we focus on is being progressive. It's in our name, but as we kind of skip through here, you'll see that we have a ton of accolades, not just having good work or being a good company, but actually supporting the minority groups that we work with, educating people about those, and helping everyone around us, be their whole self at work. That is something that we try to focus on. Being able to bring the true you to work allows you to have more conducive conversation and be comfortable bringing anything up. Being you allows you to build a better product in the end. So I think we have a little video here real quick. Hopefully this comes through all right. We will see. How do I get audio? Do I need to unmute? Oh, I need to share it with sound, probably. How do I get it? All right, let me do that again.
Every journey has a beginning, and wherever you are in your career path, we want to help you along the way. Because our journey's destination isn't our name, it's progress. Careers.progressive.com.
Okay. Before I get into this slide, so something I failed to mention. Our headquarters is in Cleveland, Ohio, but we work remotely. Since COVID, I guess even before that, we were growing really fast, and it kind of just allowed us to open up our talent pool to get more people to work at Progressive, but it's also allowed us to get more diverse people working with us. So just kind of looking at some of our accolades here, like I mentioned, I don't want to go through all of them, but really we continue to get praise for our culture and things at work, and I don't even think it's on here, but we were the #1 place for women in the U.S., I think last year. But really what goes into this is, like I mentioned, kind of the culture inside of Progressive. And so we'll get into that next, where we talk about our employee resource groups. And so these are areas where you can go and learn about other minorities and kind of learn how you can best support them. But you don't have to be in that group necessarily to participate. So one that I found really helpful was when I was first getting started, the Young Professionals Networking Group. Navigating a large company can be very difficult, and just having people there that can help you understand how the whole picture works, or helping you get steps up in your career early on, can go a really long way. So beyond that, though, there's like the Asian Americans, Latinos, military, others. There's 9, I believe. But before we get into that, I'll do the short video that kind of talks more about the ERGs, and then there's a slide that shows all the ones that we have to offer.
What is ERG?
An ERG is an employee resource group process.
It like to progress it. Like this is such an integral part of why I'm still here.
Yeah, it's so close to belong. You know, only people in the whole circle. And belonging to an ERG gives you the opportunity to just use every ERG event I've ever been to. I've learned something new. Like it's just you're really able to interact and engage with people just on a whole nother level and really take away something that really.
All right, so I mentioned that there's quite a few. These are, I think, the 9 current ones that we have to offer. But like you heard in the video, hopefully, that these are places where you can just kind of get more educated on whatever the focus is of that ERG. So, that video, I think, kind of like says it all, that it is a safe space, helps you how to best support all those people. But also networking, like I mentioned before, that this has been a great avenue for me to learn and kind of get myself prepared for my career. All right, so I'm here because we're going to the job fair tomorrow. So hopefully that kind of like showed you about some of our culture, and truly for me, it has been a great place to work. I wouldn't be trying to get people to work there if I didn't believe in it. And so honestly, going into it, I just thought maybe it was just a job and it was an insurance company. But really, it ended up being so much more. And some of my best friends to this day, we started together in our new hire group, and even people that I've met along the way. It's been really great. So we have a few opportunities coming into this recruiting season. So internships full-time. We have our systems engineers, system test engineers, analysts, and then we are even taking a few intern project managers this summer. All right, so just some of the benefits that we have. We do a 401k match, and Gain Share is kind of like our bonus program at the end of the year. Whatever level you are, you have a factor, and then we have a score of 0 to 2, and then you kind of put those together and multiply your salary based on our company's performance, and then you get that as a bonus. So at Progressive, that's kind of like it's like right before Christmas. That's like most people are most excited about the day because we're getting money, honestly. So. But some other things here, the work-life balance, I think that's been huge for me. I'm a software engineer, but there are other things that I love to do as well, and it's given me a lot of freedom to be able to pursue my other hobbies and interests. And even like if I had to go take a doctor's appointment during the day or something, I'm not even required to take time off for that. It's just kind of a flex time, and I don't even really have like a start or end time. It's really as long as you're getting your things done and you're there, the core hours to meet with your team and things. It's been all good. That's been the way. It's been that way even before we went remote. Something that I really appreciate about the culture. All right. So I think this next slide is just a little bit there's a video for the students. We'll get into that. Maybe. Hold on, it's frozen. Sorry. Let me see if I can fix this. It's me. So I'm just trying to like get it to load. All right. Yeah, it was just like spinning on the presentation. Let's try it again. Yeah. Hopefully the other presentation loads. I like can't stop sharing either. I think it's like Teams is like taking a lot of my processing. It's just like not opening now. Yeah. I mean PowerPoint, like, yeah. Yeah. Okay, it's opening. All right, they're both there. Okay, we're almost through this first one, so hopefully the second one hangs on. Yeah, let me share again. All right. Sorry about that. Computers. Okay, hopefully this plays. I didn't share with the audio. Hold on. Okay, we're back. So this is just going to talk about the applying and job fair and everything.
We're an award-winning workplace and the home of those cool shows. You know the ones. We specialize in innovation and diving headfirst into new technology, all focused on making things better for our customers, who often need us when they end up in not-so-great situations. Because if you want to make a difference, Progressive does that every day. And with early career roles and internships in data and analytics, IT and accounting, you can join us in doing work you'll actually want on your resume. And you can build a strong
All right, so on that progressive.com/students, there is a bunch of information, and including how to interview with us. So the STAR format is how we ask our questions. So it's purely behavioral, and the STAR stands for the situation, task, action, and the result. And so if you do end up in an interview with this kind of format, it's really just how you tell a story. You kind of set things up, what you did. And then the main thing, though, is the result. And focus on, like, the tangibles. You know, maybe you made the code 20% more efficient, or you saved a few $1,000s by some change. Really anything like that will go a long way in making your STAR very strong. So I encourage you to check out the progressive.com/students or our YouTube page here. And it'll give you some more practice interview questions. There's example interviews that you can kind of follow. But really, that'll help you get set for an interview with us. All right, so that's the end of the first presentation that, like I said, this is just kind of general progressive. So are there any questions about this? And then I'll get into some more technical things next. Yes. Yeah. With the recruiting, yes. And then I think like one thing that is really nice is every summer, at least for the teams that I work with, they bring them in to all meet each other. So that didn't happen much during COVID. So actually 2 summers ago was the first time we had everyone come together, and I met like 80 people that I had never met in person for the first time, which I felt like that was really nice to kind of bond and spend some time with everybody that was beyond just work. Like most of the time when you're kind of in meetings, it's business, but and you have to go out of your way to kind of make those relationships. But when you're in person, it makes it really easy to kind of have that side conversation and build those relationships. And then that stands, like when you go back, being remote, you kind of have built that trust with each other. So I wouldn't say it's all the time, but I do enjoy getting to travel for recruiting. When teams come in, like I mentioned, for that occasion, I always try to go in because I do think that those are great opportunities to network and get to meet everyone. Yeah. I think if you go to the progressive.com/students, there's a link on there to start the application process. And if you do come talk to us and like want to move forward, you have to fill that out anyway. So you can go ahead and do that if you're interested, and that'll just kind of get the ball rolling with things. It is, yes. All right, yeah. That's correct. So as an intern or full associate, which is like our entry level coming in, we interview mainly on the soft skills. So we want, I think as you're seeing, like culture is a big thing for us. And so we're pretty confident that most of you can program. But we want people that are easy to work with. And so a question that we ask ourselves a lot when we're interviewing or bringing somebody in is, really, would this be a person that you would want to spend time with and work with? And that comes with those soft skills a lot of times. So that's only the case for our entry-level positions. If you applied later, you would have to go through a technical screen. But at this point, no, there's no technical screens. There are multiple behavioral interviews, but no technical. All right, anything else? Yes. Yeah. I would say like unless you're on call, probably not. So like if you're supporting a production application and something goes wrong, then you might have to hop on a call. That's not super common, but most people end up in a position at some point where you're supporting something. So that would be probably like the only instance. Like there's never been a case where I have just been forced to work late or anything. I think really we have like our core hours, like I said, to like 10 to 2. I think you kind of need to be online, but I think even that is kind of loose, to be honest. Like for me, I can share my schedule. I get up at like 5:30 or so, and I log in and check everything, and then I catch up, and then I usually go for a run and go to the gym, and then when I come back, that way I'm like ready to start the day. I've already caught up, but I like to break things up throughout the day, and then I log off usually between 4 and 4:30. So I like to get out of the office pretty early. Yeah. Yeah, I'll get into that, but I'll get into how it is in claims. But at Progressive, it's pretty diverse. So we have over 5,000 IT employees. So the area that you work in is gonna kind of drive what the technology stack is. So we have a whole mobile department that builds our apps. In claims, we mainly have web applications that support all of our claim reps. But then there's like the progressive.com team, which is more visual. They're just using Vue, and then like let's say policy servicing. So if you have you have insurance with us, you log in. They're using Angular as well, but it's a different stack than what we're using in claims. Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely. Actually, I went in the office the other day and I was talking to our CIO because he was just there. So he sits like out with us. He wants to be inclusive. So yeah, it's really, I would say actually if you got into Progressive as an intern or a new hire, use that to your advantage to just talk to anyone. And usually people are really willing to talk because at that point you can just use the excuse that you don't know and you want to learn. And someone gave me that advice when I was first starting, and it really went a long way. Like it's hard to visualize the hierarchy of everything at first, but talking to all these different people will help you get that vision, and then kind of, maybe even see where you want to work one day. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I think I'll talk to two things about that. So sometimes people come in and they realize they don't want to be a developer for the rest of their life. So we're very open to trying new roles. In fact, there's a specific route you can take. It's called MEDGE, where you're a developer and you become a manager. So, but outside of that, I mean, if you were just interested in like analytics, if I was interested in analytics, and I could interview strongly enough for that, I could just apply for that position, and then I could seemingly get it. The other thing is I mentioned Progressive is really large. So let's say I've been in claims my whole 10 years that I've worked at Progressive, but so I know claims really well, but policy servicing or mobile or another area like that, quoting, is a lot different. And so if I wanted to move to that area, it's almost like moving to a whole new company. And so some people do that all the time. Like if you're wanting to get a whole new experience or understand how the whole company works in general, it's really easy to move from platform to platform as well. And we even have what's called the ERO, Enterprise Resource Organization. It's kind of like our internal contractors, and that gets you that experience across several domains really early on in your career. A lot of people start in there, and then they kind of find where they want to work in the end. All right. Any other questions about the job stuff? All right. Hopefully this continues to work. But the next presentation is one that I kind of put together because I think can be hard to visualize a company at a large scale. And so how we'll kind of go about this is I'll talk about Progressive at the grand level, kind of drill into my area in claims, and then talk about how we all work together through software. All right, so I kind of mentioned some of these stats already, but this is our Progressive IT strategy. So culture, continuous improvement, and customer value are the three pillars that we try to adhere to. So customer value is huge for us. We partner with the business to give them the tools that they need. And so I really appreciate that Progressive puts the effort into hiring software engineers and not outsourcing to buy all the technology off the shelf. We actually spend a lot of time building the software in-house so that way it can be highly customizable for us, and it gives us a competitive advantage. So there's about 60,000 employees across Progressive. Here we have 37 plus million policies in force, 50 million customers, and then all that to support everything. We have over 1,000 applications in our portfolio. So I mentioned 5,000 IT employees. And then we're Fortune 57 as I checked last for this. So just all that to highlight that kind of what I talked about in the beginning, that even though we're selling insurance, technology is at the heart of everything that we do, and that's how we're able to be successful and continue to be successful. Making sure that we give competitive rates, and we're beating all of our competitors actually. So this wheel here is kind of a breakdown of the different areas at Progressive. Some of them I kind of hit on, but like HR, I work in CLCC, Date is our architecture, CRM, customer relations is like the online servicing, like where you would actually do your work, and then ETS is like our physical things, and so they're kind of all separated, but we all share common values. And then if we drill into CLCC, where I work, that is claims and our corporate community. So we're two different platforms, claims and corporate, and honestly, even though we live together, we're very different under the hood. So I want to talk a little bit about claims. So there's 5,000 plus IT employees at Progressive, but in claims we have 350 right now, and that's larger than most IT companies in general, really. And so that's kind of what I'm mentioning. Inside of each platform, you get its own kind of company experience, and moving from platform to platform can give you those broader experiences. So we have over 50 teams that we support inside of our claims platform. So those are 50 Scrum teams, and then we have over 300 applications to support our 40,000 claims employees. So this bottom visual here just kind of shows the breakdown of the different areas of focus inside of claims IT. Speaking at kind of like a high level, like taking the claim and then handling the claim, and then any like data science or AI, those are all kind of a subset. They're all working together, but we have specific focuses on our team. But the team that I work on is Team Phoenix, and you can see at the bottom, it kind of encompasses all of them. And so our role inside of Team Phoenix is to make the work easier for all the teams that we help support. So for me specifically, I'm our front-end development capability leader. So anything that's accessibility, Angular, even like our like adapter APIs that aggregate data fall under my umbrella, but driving the architecture and making sure that we're current comes to me first. And that's kind of how we continue to have successful applications inside of our platform. So beyond me, but you can see here there's some other focuses. So cloud, we have a huge presence. Our backend, Dave Myers is kind of like my counterpart, where we continually work together, and then we meet on kind of the aggregator API level. Our site reliability engineers help us continue to improve our reliability of our applications, and then monitoring. I work with very heavily as well because we do a ton of analytics and monitoring from the front end. So this is the stack that we use pretty commonly in claims IT. So I mentioned Angular, very heavy in the front end. We have about 70 Angular applications. AWS, a ton of our back end, Lambda, data processing. We are heavily invested in AWS. And then any of like our core infrastructure APIs tend to be on C#. But in the bottom here, Node.js, those are the aggregators that I was mentioning. For me, that the JavaScript and things are my bread and butter. So I will use TypeScript and JavaScript anytime I can. But even mentioned here that we still do have some things in the mainframe, but we're working on getting all that out of the mainframe into the cloud. So that's something we have ongoing right now, but it's a very long process. So the left visual here is kind of like a spider web of how all of our applications work together. How do we kind of manage all these things? So a common stack that you might interact with would be our Angular front end, and we actually have a micro front end architecture. So I mentioned we have 70 applications, but as we get through this, you'll see one where there's about like 30 or 35 applications that work together in one of our ecosystems. We host on Node.js, OpenShift, containerized, it's automatically scaling, and just kind of some of the other data points here. Basically, our aggregators, data APIs, I kind of mentioned all these things already. But really, it takes our team on Team Phoenix to work together to make sure that all of this architecture is in sync so that our teams don't run into roadblocks. So looking at the front end, our goals are to make things consistent, reduce redundancy, anything complex, try to make it simple. We have to roll out change. I mentioned accessibility, which is a whole other animal, trying to make sure that all of our applications are accessible, making sure that our implementations work for every application, all 70, and there's actually more than that outside of claims. And then we're really focused on currency. So Angular 20 came out in May. Our team worked on it first to get all of our supporting applications and software upgraded, and now the teams have to go do the upgrade as well. So like, how do we handle all of this really is what I'm getting at. And one of the things that we do is we have enablement work. So all of our capability leaders, we work together and we roll out change, and this is what we ask our teams to work on every quarter essentially. So you can see Angular is what I worked on, but some of these other things like accessibility, and I made some caching improvements so that we can work on efficiency. So this is where we can incrementally make our applications better, and without like having a few people kind of spearhead these things, it becomes very difficult to have that consistency. And our goal is to make the developers' lives as easy as possible. I don't need y'all to know how to implement authentication in your application. It's kind of like a one and done thing. So we just put those in libraries, and then you can just plug it into your application and it works. So that's what we've got here. We have a suite of, I think there's 11 or 12 there, these are our core libraries. These ones here, I would say, are like the back end of the front end, where they are the bootstrapping portion. So authentication, configuration, the monitoring, logging, setting up the communication between applications, all things that you would just hope that you can kind of use. And I don't want anybody to have to be concerned with how that actually functions. I just want you to be able to use the code and have it work as expected. And then this piece is our design system. So that's like the front end of the front end. And that's where the accessibility piece, reducing redundancy, and kind of taking advantage of our micro front-end architecture really comes into play. So I'll talk about that a little bit more as well. And then lastly, one of our biggest tools, and this is a tool that I own, but all of us kind of contribute together, is our application template. And so it has all these libraries already implemented inside of it, and this is actually where I'll put our newest best practices, so that way when you are starting a new application, you already have everything implemented. So I mentioned we have 70 currently. It feels like every quarter there's a couple new ones, so they can just copy this, put it into their repository, and they're already at the most modern state. That's not having to like take an application, rip all the guts out, and then hope that you're current. This is one of our major strategies. All right, so I mentioned the design system, so that's Core UI, and we'll get into the code or the documentation side a little bit here, but Core UI has been something I've been working on for 7.5 years. So there's, I would say, 100 or so components inside of here, but actually we found a lot of success in Claims, and this is something that we've shared outside of Progressive. So, or not outside of Progressive, outside of Claims to other platforms inside of Progressive. So my team, Lee Cooper and I, mainly support this, and we try to treat this as open source as possible. Basically, it's an internal open source operation. So we have 15 or so applications outside of Claims that are using this as well. So we've really spent a lot of time making our documentation very robust. Essentially, if you pulled up a design system out in the web, Material, Bootstrap, something like that, it's very similar to that, like where you'll be able to just copy the code, kind of understand what the goal is of the design system, and then implement it into your application without really having to think about anything. So I mentioned the micro front-end architecture, and this is a visual that I like to show because it shows the success of using a design system. So this is 3 applications, actually. So the left rail top menu is kind of like our shell application, and then liability in the middle is another application that's loaded inside of it. And then the right rail, which is activity feed, is also an independent application. And these all communicate together and share resources. But the beauty is that you can deploy them independently if you make a change without having to affect anything else. But by using the design system, they're automatically cohesive. Like, you wouldn't be able to tell the seams really unless I was sharing with you. So that's something that the proof is in the pudding, that using a design system and the consistency across all of our teams is very important to make sure that we have that seamless integration. All right, so this is just another slide. That was Claim Pro, our main application that has like 30 to 35 applications, but everyone inside of Claims uses this. So it just kind of shows that familiarity across all the applications for our claim reps. Kind of some things that I already shared. There's like 85 applications that use this currently, and we even calculated out that we've saved $21 million roughly by reducing that complexity and not having to reinvent the wheel every time. And the accessibility portion is huge because all of our components are accessible out of the box. If you can still get into some situations if you use them in tandem in your application, but that's just kind of some knowledge things. But independently, all of our components are 100% accessible, which is something that we really pride ourselves on. And then, like I mentioned, just kind of partnering with like our open source office. This is kind of how we manage things. But really, if you, again, looked at anything out on the web that has an intake process or manages issues from the public, we take the same process inside of the Core UI and try to manage that as well. So let's say you came and worked at Progressive and you were interested in front-end development, you could absolutely contribute to Core UI no matter where you're working inside of the company. So that's something that we put it out there about 3 years ago, and we've continued to have success with it. All right, so let's get out of this. So I think the main thing I want to show is kind of what I was talking about with our design system, just our documentation site. Kind of just an overview here. We have our change log that'll go through everything, what every pull request kind of consists of, how you would get into your application, how you can contribute, and then let's say even if you want to change something, we have an intake form so you can request change. But let's go look at some of the actual components. Maybe. Okay. And I'll go to layout. I think the accordion is one of my favorites, actually, because we had an accordion before, but it wasn't inherently accessible. So we decided to go through a redesign so that way we could have the functionality here where you have double actionables inside the banner here. So obviously opening, closing, and then you could have some sort of function here. So great. I want to put that inside of my application. Here's all the API, everything that you can interact with. And then coming down here, you can just copy the code essentially, and it would be inside your application. So again, it makes things very easy. Like if you're using material, this is the same kind of experience that you would get. And all of our components have this. And this one's really nice as well because we even expose a testing harness, so you can just import this into your unit tests. You don't have to mock anything out. Again, this all is coming back to making things easier and kind of like giving back to the developer community. All right, so beyond the components here, best practices are also an aspect of this. So I mentioned the Angular upgrade. So one thing that we do is go through the upgrade first. We'll do our libraries, make sure everything's good, and then we'll put it into a few applications, and that gives us confidence to help everybody else kind of navigate through the upgrade. But here, we'll document things out, kind of give you a step-by-step of what you need to do to upgrade your application. And again, it just we're trying to make things easier for everyone else around us. So pretty straightforward. Angular 20 wasn't too bad, but in the past, there's been quite a bit to work on. So beyond that, I know that was pretty quick, but this is Claim Pro, the one that I showed that has the independent applications kind of in it. I just wanted to kind of demonstrate how that looks as you're loading it. So if you notice, there was like a little spinning P, but that's that actual independent application loading inside of this, and the shell, which is Claim Summary, is kind of just the orchestrator, and it can load in its data, but it just basically loads a URL inside of it to kind of manage this. So this is the application that all of our claim reps would use to manage claims, and kind of the experience changes based on your roles as well, but you can see it's very data dense, and that's the importance of having a good design system as well. All right. So we have our what would be called our first notice of loss, which is like that first contact. Basically gathers all the information and then it presents it in here. So that's a different application, but this is where the majority of the claim reps work. Behind the scenes, like liability is trying to figure out, who's at fault. And so you can see here there's ranges. So if you got into an accident, there would be multiple people working on your claim, people that are specialized in each area. So there's like liability experts. The rep that you're working with, if you called in, would just kind of help work with you, but they're probably working with other reps behind the scenes. And how they communicate is, through email and IM and everything, but this is like a running record of everything that happens in the claim. And this is just a dev claim. So there's like just generic data in here. But this is a running tally record of like everything that someone does on a claim, essentially. So if a new rep got onto this, they would be able to kind of brief themselves on it. And we're even working on like a AI tool to summarize all the notes, so that way it's quicker. But right now, basically, you could just read through, give a timeline of everything that's going on, and then hop into the claim and do what you need to do. Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, claim summary, which is like this detail here in the top menu, and so it's just kind of like the orchestrator, really. It does, like, if you click on summary here, that is part of the application, but that view just will change based on whatever application you click on. So there's pros and cons to like every architecture. I think this one has a lot of wins because of the independent deployment, because we have a lot of applications. And then independent teams own these pieces. It's not one team that owns all of them. Like I mentioned, there's 50 teams that have to work together, and granted, not that many work on just this piece, but there may be like 10 teams that touch all these applications to make sure that it's functioning properly. So it makes it easier for us to control, and then we just have to have those mechanisms that make it easy to have our applications communicate with each other. So we have like event streaming between them, and we have a message bus basically that we can communicate with, and then there's even like some open socket stuff in here to that way they can post messages or notifications. So there's multiple ways that we can communicate data or notify the user or whatever we need to do for things that have changed. I was pretty much through. Like, if you guys want to see anything, I'm more than happy to share, but yeah, any questions or anything that you would like to see? Yes. Yeah, I think for me it's like a really nice peer. So sometimes, like, if I'll use an example, even when I recently we changed our authentication mechanism, and so it took me a couple years to roll out the change across to all of our applications. But one thing that we were working on too was like our migration to signals, which is a new pattern in Angular. And so I had an idea of how I thought it should be implemented, but one of my peers and I came up with our own ideas separately, and then we also prompted AI to come up with the solution, and we kind of took a combination of all three of our ideas to get it to what it is today. So for me, I think it's really nice to kind of get my bearings. I don't do so much of like generative code, but that is something that some of the developers are using more of. I like it more as a peer right now. But one thing that I will say that we're looking at is with the core UI, we made an agent that you can give it like a mock-up. It can even be a drawing, and it'll actually generate the code with all of the component code from the documentation site. So it's close. It still puts like some inline styling in there, but that's kind of the ideas of where we're at with like how we can utilize AI. Like, even if it doesn't get you 100% of the way there, like 80% and you kind of finalize the things, that's a huge leap, and you don't even have to go to the documentation site to get that figured out. You can just kind of put it into the agent inside of VS Code. It spits out, the agent takes over and it writes the code for you, and then you just kind of verify at that point. Yeah, everybody in Claims, we were the first platform to get it, so everybody has it, and they really want us to be using it. So we have GitHub Copilot inside our IDEs. We have a progressive ChatGPT model. We even have some experimental things inside of our enterprise where it's like scraping data across the whole enterprise, so that way you can just kind of prompt it to say like, hey, if I need policy data, what would be the best API to call, and it can just kind of get that knowledge for you. So it's just kind of closing those dots so that way things are easier as you're developing. All right, anything else from anybody? Yeah. So that's my full-time job now, that I support that essentially. But when I was first starting, it kind of came out of a project. When we were starting this project of building ClaimPro, we knew that we were going to need some way to keep things consistent. So there's been probably like 10 developers over the years that have had their hands on it. But our goal from the beginning, was just to make sure that things were pretty seamless. So at the time, we were building code for this new application, which required us to build the components. So things were a little bit slower at the beginning, but now it's it's pretty complete. Like, there's still, I think we have like 60 issues out there or something. Like, it's pretty live. But we're not having to build new components all the time anymore, which is kind of where you get that value gain. So people, I would say like there's a lot of developers that like to contribute to it because it has a big impact. So like maybe you're using Core UI in your team and you find an issue, you can just go out and correct the bug, and that gives you an opportunity to kind of work with us and see how software at that scale works. Even though we're building big tools here, like if you're putting it into a shared code like the core UI, then that has a bigger impact rather than just on your team directly. So there's like a few design systems inside of Progressive. Core UI is like probably been the most successful because of its accessibility, because that's when people are most likely to grab it. There's a huge push at Progressive to make sure that our software is accessible. So knowing that, like, basically this is what happened. I mentioned the ERO. Those people move on to different projects. They've used Core UI in claims. They go to a new project and they liked that experience. They can bring that into that platform. Or we had one of our domain architects move, and she went to agency. She liked Core UI and what we were about. So when she went to agency, they have like 5 applications that are using it now because she trusted it. So that's kind of the process that we go about it. There's 2 of us that work on it full time, but it's not just Core UI. It's like I have to do these other architectural enablement items is what we call it. So like the authentication I mentioned, or putting out new patterns, or the Angular 20 rollout. We're responsible for all those things, and we're the product owner, tester, developer, all those things of all those tools that I mentioned. Yeah, we have 2 designers. We used to have 4. Actually, that's a good point. So when we were first starting, we had more designers, and now it's kind of, like I mentioned, it's a little more stable. But one thing that I've found that makes the Core UI very successful is how we have those meetings. So inside of our design meetings, we have 2 a week, and we represent developers, designers, our usability research, and accessibility. They're all there so that way we can make decisions together to decide what is best for the design system. It's not just the designer building something and then kind of throwing it over the wall. They have a Figma library that's an exact replica of all of our Core UI components, so there's like no loss in translation. We stay on the same page very closely.
I think we're going to have to cap it, because I do know that there's a group outside right after us, so I think we do need to clear out the room. But you're welcome to like stick around. If anyone else like has any questions, he will be here for a little bit more. And then he'll also be here tomorrow at the career fair. Show up, visit Progressive, say hi to them. But yeah, thank you guys so much for pulling up, coming out. I hope that taught y'all a bit about like Progressive and gave more insight to their stuff. And I hope that it inspires y'all to maybe apply.